I am back, black, and ready to act. Happy Black History Month 2024. Welcome, new listeners and returning listeners, to today's episode of the Black Business Roundtable. I am your host, Doug Blacksher, broadcasting to you live from the city of Diversity, Oakland, California, at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 7 p.m. East Coast time today. Hope you had a wonderful Valentine's Day with your honey. Hope you had a good Valentine's Day or just simply a little me time, which we all need. Tune in today and join the discussion featuring time with audience, I got to give the man props, with Honorable Council Member Kalimah Priforce of the city of Emeryville, California. He's an activist, educator, three-time entrepreneur, Black Afro-Latina, Buddhist, vegan, gamer, Democrat, just a kid from Brooklyn. His website is www.priforce.com. Instagram at Priforce, hashtag Priforce. Thumbs up and thumbs down is back. We have to start identifying these crooks and criminals who are politicians and business people who are pimping the system. And I just want to say this. I hope that once we identify who these players are, we stop patronizing their businesses. I will also touch on calling out local politicians and others in their determination to undermine our political process right here in the not all good in the hood Bay Area. Wake up, Bay Area, as Washington politricks. Yes, that's what they are. They're no more politics. They're politricks. Politricks of the previous administration. So keep that in mind. We have to get the politricks out and get the politics back in of the previous administration in Oakland, California. Also, it is here, right now. Right here, right now. We see it in campaigns to push out winners such as Pamela Price, our first elected district attorney in Alameda County, who was legitimately won her campaign. She is being recalled by losers. And on top of that, she is creating social justice for all people, not just the people who can afford it or white people, all people, black, brown, and others. Our judicial system has been inundated over the last decade for the lack of social justice, fair social justice. Visit her website and look at the numbers that she's putting up. So when they talk about she's not prosecuting people, that's a lie. That is a flat out lie. And they ought to be ashamed of themselves. The money that's going in to get her out of office is not even local money. Some of it's out of the state money. And so we need to look at her website. The numbers don't lie. It's like an account. Give you the numbers don't lie. All right. So let's get it started this week with the Black Business Roundtable. Thumbs up goes to dun, 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 Uber and Lyft drivers challenging billionaire. And I'm going to even throw in Amazon, because I think if you recall, we did a show last year on Amazon where an employee died because she wasn't properly equipped with the COVID protective stuff, and she died, leaving back a child motherless. You ought to be ashamed. And the biggest thing here is we need to stop spending our money with these companies that are shitting on the black race, because Black people spend more money in this country than any other. We're the biggest consumer of everything. So Amazon, I hope you're listening. And any of you other billionaire companies, I hope you're listening. We need to start, and I'm saying black people, because black people are at the bottom of everything in this country. And I do mean that. And it's shameful. We built this country for free. And how you going to call us lazy? Anyway, I went off on a tangent. Thumbs down goes to Lauren Taylor. And here is the reason why. Since we had the new mayor elected, Lauren has hooked up with a non-profit organization and has been behind the scenes doing everything he can to sabotage the mayor of Oakland. And I believe he worked with another person to sabotage the district attorney also. So we need to look at that as thumbs down. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, Lauren. Move on. Prepare for the next campaign so you can win. Okay? After election, the objective is to get together and unite for the rights of all people, and specifically African Americans. Thank you. Next up, audience, welcome. Honorable Kalimah Priforce, and a few questions. He is here to answer a few questions regarding election of mayors and council members, including Nate Molly, Alameda County Board. The Alameda County Board of Supervisors held a press conference to address the crime surges in our cities. What's your take? What is your take on this process, on this press conference? Because I saw it, and it was pretty powerful. I hope it brings something. Looking at the crime that has brought property value down in this city, has driven out businesses, our newly elected officials. Only thing I can say is honeymoon is over. Start doing your job, because if not, coast to coast, border to border, I'm going to point out how you're not doing anything and who's not doing anything. This is shameful. This is a doggone shame that people have to lose their businesses, getting robbed. Governor has to send in the highway patrol to help manage and administrate safety in this city. It's shameful. What is your take on the press conference and what has been happening with our public safety for our side of the bay? You recently came out swinging against John Bader, who is running for Keith Carson's seat, Alameda County Board of Supervisors, and Keith Carson is retiring. Board of Supervisors, there's only 2 black people on the board, and one of them is retiring, and the other is being challenged right now by Jennifer Esteem. Jennifer seems to be gaining momentum to be the next Alameda County Board of Supervisors member. So let's keep a lookout for Jennifer. Go to her page and look her up. We are ready for Mr. Kalimah Priforce, honorable council member for Emeryville. Come on down. And there he is. Yes. How are you, honorable Priforce? There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Honorable Priforce?
I am good. I'm on 2 different meetings, and so I think I've muted myself from one meeting and trying to, let's see what I can do.
Well, we want to thank you for coming on today. And one of the things that the Black Business Roundtable, our mission is to promote blacks in politics, specifically young men such as yourself. I remember when you first came to the County Alameda County Democratic Central Committee, and when you walked in the door, they looked at you like you was gonna rob the joint. Do you remember that?
Yeah, they definitely came across as here. I'm going to have to leave because I can't mute them. Okay, there you go. All right. Yeah, no, it definitely didn't seem very welcoming or inviting. Everyone
Right.
sort of looked at me like, "Oh, who is he? Who is he coming from? Where is he coming from?" Which is interesting because their communication with me virtually, was pretty regular. And then for me to show up, I think they just weren't used to,
Right.
an elected showing up. And when I did show up, I guess they didn't think, "Oh, wow, he's a pretty big guy." And I guess as I've been told, my presence as well. My presence is I have a very Brooklyn presence, and so I think they just weren't warm to that until you and Madam D.A. Price received me in a warmful manner and made sure that I was even able to even speak or say anything just to introduce myself. And I appreciate that.
Well, let's dive right into it. Who have you endorsed in this race for both Keith Carson's seat and for Nate Miley's seat?
Oh, so with Carson's seat, I have not endorsed anyone. I have been reluctant to endorse because um, a big part of my interest in that seat has been making sure that John Botters, who is the council member for the city of Emeryville, and he's my colleague, and he was mayor during my first year in Emeryville, and mayor a couple of times while just my living in Emeryville, is a bad deal for Alameda County. And so I've been looking a lot at how the other candidates have been sort of campaigning and running against someone who who is so far ahead of them financially when it comes to fundraising. And the reason why is because of the corporate interests that have invested in him, because he has invested in them through the policy making in Emeryville. So essentially, he's probably have been preparing for this race for a very long time and has been selling parts of Emeryville to those folks who would come to his aid at this moment in time for the seat. And so I think that's been where a lot of my focus has been. But if it was a ranked choice voting, because of my not just my relationship. So there's two ways I look at politicians. Of course, there's strangers, right? People who I don't know, but there's friends, right? People who I may have grown up with or known for a long time, and then there's alignment. And alignment to me is most important because alignment keeps me in my integrity, and so I don't want to dishonor the friendship that I have with a person, but my alignment says that these are the views that I support. And so thus during situations where I have to endorse more than one person who are competing for the same seat, I can say I am so for example, with Dan Cowell, Councilmember Cowell of Oakland, who's running for a state Senate seat, and Javanka Beckles, who's also running for the state that same state Senate seat. I can say that I'm friends with both, but I am more in alignment with Javanka Beckles, and thus, even though both of them have my endorsement. And so I would say that I am much more in alignment with Gregory Hodge, than I am with any other candidate. But if it was ranked choice voting, I would have Greg Hodge, Nikki Bass, um, and perhaps Ben Bartlett. Um, when it comes to who should be in that seat, and when it comes to the Nate Miley seat, 100% Jennifer Epstein. I believe that Jennifer Epstein has the energy. I believe that she has the intelligence and the mindset of a progressive that would supercharge the county. And yeah, it's good to see you again, Donnie Glover. And I think that I was just actually listening to a Cat Brooks Law and Disorder broadcast that featured Nate Miley and Jennifer Epstein. Not a debate, but sort of a forum. And I was listening to Nate Miley, and Nate Miley had a lot of good things to say, right? But the 1 year that I've been in politics so far has taught me that if we based politics based upon what people say, then we are doing a disservice to how our tax dollars are actually used. Because how our tax dollars are actually used has a lot to do with what is actually done. And right now, I believe that Nate Miley's time has come for him to pass that seat on to someone who can actually put into action many of the things that he says that he stands for, while at the same time, I think that's a lot of his thinking needs an update. Things have changed, but the pandemic definitely changed everything. As opposed to how to best approach some of the income disparity, racial wealth gap that currently exists. Everything from mental health to criminal justice reform to a lot of the issues into crime, right? Crime, everyone's talking about crime. That I believe that it would actually be Jennifer Epstein who can push against the status quo. And I think that that is so important, that you got to have people who can push against the status quo, because the empire always strikes back. And so you need people who can stand in the arena and say, you know what, I know how things have been done, because things didn't get this bad in Oakland overnight. Things didn't get this bad in our region overnight. There was a status quo, and that status quo was never challenged. And so Jennifer Epstein is the best person to stand up to that status quo and bring people together and have those kind of substantive conversations and policy making onto how do we best move forward. And when it comes to the body of the board of county of the county board of supervisors, her representation there would be extremely powerful. And so, because the board, I think, is leaning right for Alameda County, which is the most progressive blue county in the entire state of California. And so I don't believe the county right now is reflected in terms of the mindset of those who really want, in terms of the voter base. And so I think that Jennifer Epstein reflects more of what the voters want and need to see in when it comes to the county board of supervisors.
Well, I love your expanded answer, because some people say, "Oh, I'm endorsing this person, I'm endorsing that person." No, we want to endorse who's going to get out and do the job. And I listened to a debate several times with Jennifer Epstein. She did an outstanding job. So, who are you endorsing for the March 5th primaries? Thank you, sir.
The March 5th primaries, Latifah Simon, definitely, hands down. And Barbara Lee, of course. Marisol Rubio. She's outside of my district. I believe she's Contra Costa, but I definitely am supportive of her. Jennifer Epstein, of course. Our Revolution has done a really great job listing the endorsements that I feel take a more progressive tone and stance on issues. But and of course I'm on that as well, because I'm running with 9 other amazing community champions for the Democratic Central Committee here in Alameda County. So my name will be on the ballot if you belong to to Assembly District 18. But one thing that I've seen, and I won't call some names out, although I am tempted to, is people changing once they get into office.
Let me be clear here, Honorable Priforce. You can give me the names and I'll call them out, because we have got to start calling out these politicians are getting paid while we get played. So if you don't call them out, give me the name and I'll have no problem, because this year is our 3rd year on the air on blackusa.news, #Donnie Glover. So I am fired up, back, black, and ready to act. And that's act up. I'm going to piss off some politicians this year. So go ahead and answer the question.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's politicians change. A lot of politicians have changed. And that's one thing that I have been very thankful of for those who elected me, those people who have sided with me. They said, you haven't changed. You haven't changed from the person that you were when you ran, and that doesn't mean that I. Oh, go ahead. Oh,
I want to ask. I want to get this out for the record before you get into that. When you won the election, what did they try to get you to do that no other person in Emeryville had to do in regard to a stipulation letter? Thank you, sir.
Oh yeah, that was the collegiality pledge, when they wanted me to sign a collegiality pledge. Well, I mean, they eventually asked someone else who was running. I think they were trying to cover what they call cover their butts.
Well, tell our audience
to fill out. It meant that I would be collegial towards my city council colleagues, which was odd because none of them have signed anything even closely to that when they ran. And then the first day, the day I was inaugurated, the meeting that I was inaugurated, then one of the council members jumped on me, started calling me sexist, and that's because I said that I don't think it is fair to the people of Emeryville that we had a culture, a system where people would cycle the mayorship. And then John Botters, once again, his name being brought up, decided that he was going to run again. And so then we had twice the mayor. So it didn't rotate. And it's not codified. So legally, he's fine. It's unfortunate that that for a lot of politicians who have legal backgrounds, the extent to their legal contribution is they know which laws to break, right? They know which ones to, how to manipulate the law. And so, but nothing groundbreaking, nothing that serves the people, nothing that actually says that you can interpret the law in a way that actually doesn't advantage you. And I think that is what I've seen a lot. I've just seen politicians who change once they get into office. And thankfully, I'm someone who, I adapt, I learn, I do learn, but I'm not going to change, my integrity. And that's because who I am was solidified long before I ever got into politics.
Well, you are one of the few politicians who I can call and talk to and who I supported. I supported 6 people who ran: the district attorney, Jonathan Ramachandran, Kevin Jenkins, Kalimah Priforce, Rebecca Kaplan, and Shane Tao. And I got to be honest, I can't wait till next election because I'm gonna be lighting some folks up. When they want your vote, boy, they're very accessible. But once they
But
get
it's
in
already too
office,
late, right? Now they're incumbents, right? Sorry to interrupt.
no. Go ahead and say what you go
Oh
ahead and
yeah,
say.
I mean that's the thing is like now it's an uphill battle, right?
Right.
Now we have to run people against them, but more than likely they're looking for higher offices, so they'll abandon their seats. But we have to run people against them after we told the voter base, hey, this person is progressive, and then they go into office. They either do two things: one, they switch their position and no longer progressive, right? They start making these deals. They start switching sides, and then, or they are quiet. They're silent, right? They kind of like just go with the flow. And so, in those names that you mentioned, I will mention the ones who I support, but there are a lot of names on that list now who I can say I'm friends with, but I'm not in alignment with.
Well, let me be clear here. Everybody in Oakland is fed up with the administration, whether it be the mayor's office or whether it be city council people, because businesses are leaving. Black Bear Diner, gone. In and Out, leaving in March. Starbucks, all these are on that Hagenberger corridor as you get off the out of the Oakland International Airport. The businesses are closing up because crime is just astronomical. The chances of you getting robbed down on the Hagenberger corridor while you were in patronizing the businesses is shameful. And I mentioned this last week that Clorox and Kaiser is the biggest employer in the city of Oakland, are telling their employees, bring your lunch because you will get robbed. So next question is, what is the state of Black male participation in the Democratic Party nationally and locally? Thank you.
So nationally, so this morning, actually, I think it was this morning or yesterday, may have been this morning. There was a anti-crime coalition of mayors and council members who gathered around the same place and made a bunch of statements. And so first of all, not everyone got the memo, right? So I was invited, not a whole lot, right? So this is like a more of a what they call it, a good old boys network, right? This is like a certain crew of politicians. And fortunately, I'm not a part of that crew. I'd never want to be a part of that crew because a lot of that crew, if not all, have deep ties with the real estate lobby, deep ties with corporate landlords and corporate developers. And that's why I can't roll with that. But for them to say, especially those who, like, for example, Nate Miley, who has been around as Oakland has faced all of these crime issues, that some of these politicians have been around while all this was happening. And then to see even my mayor there, right? And I'm like, wait a minute, public safety, what exactly have you done when it comes to public safety? Because I was the one who led the effort to get us license plate reader technology in Emeryville, and because of the way it's you put it out there, you say, hey, this is what I'd like to see happen, and it goes through committee and it goes to the city council, and then you have to buy it and then you have to install it, whatever. It could take a while, but it will happen more than likely this year, hopefully before I believe before Halloween. We will have these cameras. But who has been pushing that? And when it comes to our when it comes to our a crime in Emeryville, how is it that those who watch crime go up in Emeryville, who didn't really do or say anything as relates to our public safety, are the now ones claiming to be what, public safety champions? Really? Is that how the people look at you in Emeryville, that you're the public safety champion? because when the San Francisco Standard recently contacted me, they said, well, that's because the people who we spoke to said this is the council member to talk to when it comes to public safety. This is the council member to talk to when it comes to actually getting something done, to actually saying something that once again goes up against the status quo. And so for this anti-crime coalition, which is really a whole bunch of friends who love to hang out with each other and don't want none of the big bad progressives like myself and others to be a part of it, I think that it just shows you that how politics works, especially in the East Bay, and especially for a lot of our cities, wherein we can say a lot of good things, but make deals on the side that sell our communities out. And that is a tradition that I do not want to partake in. As a council member of the city of Emeryville, as a AD 18 elected delegate to the California State Democratic Party, and as someone who is running to be on the central committee for the local Democratic Party for Alameda County.
Audience, I want you to look at this man. Well, first off, let me give a shout out to Tampa Bay, Florida. Listeners, she always has been with us since we started. And another listener, Brenda. So I want to give a shout out for her real quick. And then also I want to say how a mental check and a mental health check. How are you doing after 1 year in office? Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that question. And you know what? I'll integrate that with the question last time. I realized I didn't answer in terms of being a Black male in the Democratic. You know, there's a lot of denigration of Black men in our local Democratic Party, and you know, and of course, the other side would love to say, "Hey, we've got some Black males. See, look at this person. They're fine. Look at that person. They're fine." But no. If you have had a son or a trans male child go to school and that child says, "I feel uncomfortable," or "I feel like this environment isn't healthy for me," then you know what I'm talking about. If you are not in my shoes, that this denigration that I've received, and I have stories. Oh my God! I'm writing a book, so some of those stories will be in that book. But I can tell you stories of times when I believe that the response to me, or how people have spoken to me or have treated me, I think it would be different if I weren't a Black male. And and I think it's unfortunate because there needs to be solidarity amongst Black men and Black women when it comes to the Democratic Party, and I believe that is there on a national level. But Bay Area politics is a very interesting, it's interesting phenomenon that I believe comes out of the culture that is here, where the division that can sometimes happen in our communities is in the name of liberal politics or white liberalism, and wherein it is a benefit to keep us divided and keep us separate. I'll never forget that resolution that was passed in the Democratic Central Committee, where that was for protecting Black women, and namely was for Carol Fife and Cat Brooks, which, yeah, of course, yes, protect them from demagogues, people who are attacking them online and threatening them, that sort of thing. But then I said, well, what about Black men? Oh, no, we'll get to that. Well, I mean, it's almost a year later. I still don't see one. And then they had to do another one, because I remember I said, well, wait a minute. So if you're saying Black women, you also mean trans women? No, not the non-trans women, non-Black trans women, just the Black women, right? And I go,
well, you
okay.
remember what happened? You remember what happened with Desmond
Yeah.
Iman down there, how they treated him. I had to go to the chairman of the Alameda County Democratic Central Committee and tell him this is shameful.
Yes. Yes. And I think that that is unfortunately, I'm from Brooklyn, and in Brooklyn, fam is something that's really important to us, right? We call Harlem Mecca and we call Brooklyn Medina, right? It's this idea that we are all in it together. And I think and so that in terms of that mindset, you know, I'm coming here with that mindset, and I've been here for now going on 14 years in the Bay Area since I moved out here to run my technology company. Um, it was really interesting. It's been really interesting to see that level of division, and at the center of it, unfortunately, are white people who benefit from it, because they'll say, well, this person's my friend and that person's not my, or that, or oh, we got to support this, we got to support that. Well, I'm like, wait a minute, we're family. Why are you dividing Black and Latin? Why are you dividing the queer from the people of color community? Why are you dividing, and I see it often, especially in the Central Committee. And that's why the Central Committee needs new leadership. I believe that it needs a new vision, new leadership. It needs more inclusion, and that is why I'm running in this race along with 9 other amazing community champions. That includes Madam D.A. Price and several others who are trying to change not just the policy making body of the Alameda County Democratic Central Committee, but the culture there. The culture needs to shift. We need to be able to talk to each other a lot better, less denigration, and more inclusion.
Well, let's be clear here, audience. I am dismayed and disheartened at how Black men and women, because as I've said in previous podcasts, we Black men have to start protecting Black women, elected officials, and we need to start running. Black men need to start running for office because we don't have representation of where we're sitting at the table and we're not on the menu. And to close this out, Honorable Kalimah Priforce, our next possible congressman or board supervisor, can you tell us about the Alameda County Central Committee race you are running in? And what is the Central Committee and why is it important to voters? Thank you.
No problem. Yes. Yeah. Sorry if the tagline is blocking my face. I'll try to adjust it for the next time we have this show. But of course, thank you. Doug, Black Business Roundtable, all of you, Kim, all of you who have kept this show going and have created a platform for allowing our voices to exist, so that I can share that I'm very excited to be a part of this people powered progressives slate. People Power Progressive slate has been running for several years and has increasingly made the Democratic Central Committee more progressive. And I think that's really important because to be a progressive, some people will say it's one thing, but I am a progressive. And I also stand on certain issues, like making sure that our streets, our schools, our homes are safe. I want to make sure that you all know that this slate that I'm a part of is committed to being your voice for the Alameda County Democratic Central Committee. And that's all that means, is the local Democrats for Alameda County who get to vote and decide which, who to support, who to endorse. And they get to decide what resolutions and how to build the Democratic Party and Democratic Party candidates locally. And so, the next Trayvon Martin is coming. All right. The next Trayvon is coming. It's just a matter of time. The next George Floyd is coming. the next differently abled person who is denied their rights, the next time the unions are pushed against the wall and forced to negotiate a deal that doesn't put food on the table of workers. All of these instances, all of the queer children who are being bullied by their own teachers in classrooms, right? Like all of this stuff is coming, but as well as maybe another economic downturn, maybe you yourself being evicted from your home, or you may be losing your home to a corporate landlord, whatever the case may be. All of that is coming, and as it's coming, we want to make sure that we have a local Democratic Party that is going to fight for you, and not a lot of the corporate interests and the lobbyists who have been controlling our agenda. And what I find happening all the time is when I see resolutions come up, I see who has been pushing that resolution, and the people who've been pushing that resolution more than likely don't look like you and I. They don't come from where you and I come from. They don't live in our neighborhood sometimes. And I think that is what needs to change. And so, I am supportive of Madam D.A. Price, and I'm fighting the recall campaign. I'm fighting the recall campaigns of everyone, because I don't believe that a recall is the best approach to solving an issue. Because, when you look at San Francisco, did a recall there change the crime? No, it didn't, right? And so I believe that the recall of Madam D.A. Price should not be supported. And so, I am grounded on my values, and those values are what guide me. But more importantly, it's the people's voice, listening and talking to people, and making sure that people that look like you and I aren't gentrified out of our homes, in our neighborhoods, in our communities.
All right. The gentleman who's leaving I'm having some work done on the house. One is Don of Don's Electric. Say hi to, and this is a point of the Black Business Roundtable. There are good Black contractors out there, electrical, carpentry, roofing, but plumbing. We want to go to a white, excuse me, and don't take this personal. We want to go to a white company and spend our dollars like we always do. And I'm glad Don was down here. He's Don's Electric. He's a second generation business owner doing work on the house. And I wanted my audience to see, I don't just talk Black Business Roundtable. I practice Black Business Roundtable. Electrical contractor. And he's one of the best electrical contractors around, doing work for Nissan and other big corporations, commercial and residential. So the point I'm making here is, we got to start spending our dollar in the Black community, Black businesses, on Black services. White people you rarely see a white person using a Black company. So I wanted to point that out as we close this out today. Last but not least, let me make a comment on the recall election, such as Pamela Price. I got to make a comment. And I want you to be here, because there is one other thing before you get off. I feel, and we're working with 15 minutes. I feel it's shameful. It's shameful that we're going after this Black first woman DA who was elected by the people overwhelmingly. And I'm glad that you're working with her, because I've seen you at several different events when she's up on the stage with a PowerPoint presentation with the police chief of Oakland and other law enforcement agency. And as we close out, today is my father's birthday. He passed away 10 years ago. He would be 83 years old. And I just want to say, Dad, I love you. If you go to my Facebook page, and I think I'm going to post him on LinkedIn too, but my father is the reason. He never gave up on me. He never, he always, my dad is my hero. And I wanted to give props out so that people all across this nation, coast to coast, border to border, know artist Blacksher Jr. So I must be artist Blacksher Jr. But he passed away 4 years ago, and I just wanted to get props out to him. Honorable Kalimah Priforce, can you please come back on the show and let our audience know the great work that you're doing for democracy, and want to find out what you are going to be doing coming up in the near future, because we need young men like yourself out there doing the hard work that needs to be done. Is there any last words you want to give us before we close out?
Just want to say, of course, thank you, everyone, for your support, and I'll just keep fighting. I'll keep doing me, and if I sell out, I hope that you all will keep me accountable, and I will also keep accountable a lot of other politicians who love to wave that progressive banner, but may not necessarily live it.
Well, we humbly and gratefully thank you for coming on the show, audience, especially Black men. This brother, within 3 years, coming here from Brooklyn, New York, came to the Alameda County Democratic Central Committee, walked in with a walking stick, big walking stick, and within, was it 2 years, got elected to city council. So we want to thank him for being here today as he's left the stage. Our deepest thank you to Mr. Donnie Glover of BlackUSA.News for the honor. The honor, Donnie. It has been an honor to work with you on the Black Business Roundtable, hosting it, being a part of our growing network dedicated to bringing the real unfiltered news before the news. Hashtag BlackUSA.News, hashtag Donnie Glover. Continue sharing. Hashtag Stand with Carlton of Raleigh, NC 2022. Once again, Stand with Carlton of Raleigh 2022. Or, excuse me, Stand with Carlton of Raleigh, NC 2022. As this young man was defending his business, and man came in there, was going to his vehicle to get a weapon, to come back to shoot him and his business. Second, hashtag Justice for Enzo, a family dog that was tased and killed, drug in the street like a rag doll in front of his family. Beautiful Husky. And once again, that's hashtag Justice for Enzo, as down at the bottom of the screen. Boycott Lodi, California, and let them know that we love our animals, and we feel that was just disgraceful. If you want to be in the know and reach our audience, then join our BBRT advertising family, or to be a possible guest on the show, reach us via our email, bBRT2021@hotmail.com. Include your company name, address, website, company phone number, and social media page info to our email address, bBRT2021@hotmail.com for vetting consideration. And I just want to give a couple of shots out, because we look like we are wrapping it up now. I've honored my father, once again, artist Blacksher Jr., greatest man I've ever met. He passed away 10 years ago. He would be 83 now. Dad, I know you're looking down because you never gave up on me. You always watched my back and had my back. And I'm going to continue to do the best I can to represent your name, Artist Blacksher Jr. And if you want to see my dad, picture of him, go to my Facebook page and take a look at him. He's one great man, and I just want to give him his honors on the 83rd birthday today. Also, ILWU Local 10, new president Trent Willis, and he continues to lead the efforts on that union dock down at the Port of Oakland, and we are going to continue to fight for those union workers who bring those ships in and unload them and put the goods that we have taken. Sometimes we don't appreciate the ILWU Local 10 out of Oakland. President Trent Willis, congratulations again. I want to say another shout out once again to Tampa, Florida, and I saw Brenda on here. So, to that end, we're going to wrap up early. We look forward to seeing you Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific time on the Black Business News Network on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you, audience, for tuning in. And remember, together, we can listen. We can listen, we can learn, and we can share, because I know you care. This is Doug Blacksher, and hopefully returning soon, Dr. Ashley Coleman of the Black Business Roundtable. God bless, and good night.